Hey guys, it's Tuesday, March 24th, and I'm doing this mini class on the chakras. Chakras are something I've known about for 9 years in depth, and I've known of them for like 20 years. I learned about the chakras when I was in massage school, but we didn't really learn that much. We just learned that they, were there, and that was about it. So early on, well, I guess a year or two into my spiritual journey is when the chakras came to the forefront. So I was touching on that the last time I spoke, how when I tuned into them to see if I could see how I saw stuff. So for me, it's been learning by doing and then researching. I didn't start at it with the knowledge already memorized. I just was like, hey, when I connect to this, I see that. What does this mean? So to go up the line, starting at the base, is the root chakra, and you make your way up. Root is red, sacral is orange, solar plexus is yellow, heart is green, throat is light blue, third eye is indigo, crown is white. Sorry about my throat. Throat chakra, fear of speaking, communicating. No. So today and tomorrow and Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll do a half hour on the chakras every day, just covering the basics. So, and to make that work for the time, I figured 2 or 3 a day would work out. So, so with today, we're going to do the root chakra and the sacral chakra. Root is red, the sacral is orange. I have stuff everywhere. If you kind of sift through my website or you go through my Facebook page, I'm always posting about this stuff. And I have some original content that I've created. This is just a quick picture that has crystals associated, but just so you have a visual of the chakras, locations. So, and there's different chakras in different cultures, and they have, they're similar, but it's not an absolute. So this is just an agreed upon for the 7 major chakras and how we approach it in the West. But there's different chakras, in different belief systems or cultures and things like that. So nothing is absolute. So starting with the root is red. It has to do with our grounding, our being connected to earth, our safety and survival. And it's at the base of the spine, at the perineum, and it goes down and out towards your feet. So the energy is in that motion. I talked about this the other day also. And the other chakras go through the middle of the body. And then the crown chakra goes up towards the heavens. And this is a picture. This one isn't my content, but I have it accessible. But that visual of, that's the funnels going through, and then you see how the root goes down and how the crown goes up. So I like this visual. It's not mine. I don't know who's the creator of it, but I'm not taking credit. So your physical needs, your survival, it's kind of like in sociology, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't have shelter, you can't think about anything else. So, our safety and our survival is first and foremost. And the vibration's a little bit lower. They all have their own their and rate with the chakras and how they spin. So it's a denser energy down there. There's pictures of them too. There's so many. You can Google it and you can go crazy. You could spend a whole lifetime studying the chakras, truly. But they each are different shapes and stuff. So this is another print up. You see how the root chakra's got 4 petals. So they get more complex as they go up the line. Just so you have that in your head. So what beliefs you inherit from your family or learn from them that would show up there are what I wrote down some notes. It's also our connection to our global community and the earth at large. So it's not just your family of origin, but also just our earth community. So I don't know. I usually just teach this without really any notes. I just kind of talk, so it's kind of funny to just do this. But it's all about getting grounded and strengthening your connection to the earth and feeling safe in your body, in your environment. So and I'm like, I am safe. Like, so these would be affirmations. I am safe. I'm here. I'm fearless. I'm grounded. I'm stable. I'm connected. I'm one with the universe. And I even came up with my own little song that I would sing to myself while I was like walking the dog. But I'm not going to sing it here. But it's basically just that, like, I'm grounded, I'm protected, I'm safe, I'm one with the universe. And I just would kind of sing that as like a mantra, as like a chant to myself while walking the dog and kind of connecting to the, the trees and the sky and all that. So, and then with all of the chakras, there's so many ways to help balance them, whether it's through food, smell, sound, movement, crystals. Oh no, I heard the gate open. I don't know. Oh, it's the cat. Okay. If the dog comes down, we're in trouble. Or maybe not. Just don't know. So yeah, so you can do affirmations for these chakras. You can chant, whether they're the affirmations or their actual sound, because each of the chakras has a sound. Like, everyone thinks Om because of, yoga and what they classically hear for meditation, but each chakra has a sound. And the root chakra sound is Lam, and the sacral chakra is Vam. So you would just, get into that tone, like Lam, and you would kind of, chant that and kind of get into that toning. The crystal bowls, I have a crystal bowl at work. I plan on getting many, many more, but right now I only have one. And the one I have is toned with the sacral chakra. So these musical notes kind of sync up their vibration with your body's vibration, or with the sound of the vibrations pertaining to these chakras. So it helps kind of rock the energy clear. So you can get into a yoga pose that helps support that chakra, and that's something that's easy to Google. I don't have a demonstration for that, or a picture or any kind of resource for that, but one time I was teaching a chakra class at a yoga studio, and the teacher who was like facilitating was like, hey, how about we just take some yin poses while we talk about the chakras. So we got into like pigeon pose. If you know pigeon pose, it's like your knee is bent and you're kind of playing over it, and we chanted the different tone. I'm assuming it was Lam, but if it wasn't for if pigeon wasn't for the root, it was for sacral. But we just chanted along with it in that position, and it was so powerful, especially having a whole room doing that toning with you. It can be really awesome. So I look forward to doing that stuff in the future as my own business grows. So, and then another thing with the foods is like eating root vegetables, sometimes eating meat. I know more and more of us are getting away from eating meat, but that can be grounding. But the root vegetables are also grounding. And I have a real life personal experience where I was working on a friend who, when I looked at her root chakra, I was like, holy moly, like this is the most like ideal root chakra I've ever seen. It was like tight and perfectly formed, and it was a nice bright healthy color, and I was just like, what's up with your root? Like, wow, you're doing a good job, like feeling secure or whatever. Like, I didn't know what to make of it. I just knew it looked really strong and healthy. And she said she's been eating a ton of root vegetables. She was on like a super clean diet. I forget which one it was. It was the one that's like the prehistoric, like no grains and only like vegetables and meat, and probably some fruit. But it was really kind of awesome to see it like reflecting in that. And I also gave the example last week of my mom and her being handicapped and in a wheelchair and never having her feet on the ground for all those years and all that stuff, and how her root chakra was like a wreck. It was like bouncing all over the place and not stable. So, if you get into a practice of regular exercise and meditation to ground you, if you are secure in your environment. I remember when I worked on my best friend when her house was under construction, and when I connected to her root, I was like, oh my God, like everything was like inside down backwards. And it was like, well, that's the environment she's living in. So just to kind of recognize the limits of your everyday reality and not, don't worry about that. It's a reflection of where you're at that time. But this is something you can control. And like with my mom, if she was open to it, and I had the knowledge and the direction to guide her, but at that time I was so new to it, and even still, would she have listened? But be like, Mom, visualize some roots coming out your feet, or maybe you should have like some juice with beets in it, or whatever. One of my friends is really sensitive, and her children are really sensitive, and she notices when they're not acting grounded, she'll like deliberately bake them beets, and they just gobble up the beets, and they're much more settled in their bodies. So it's just a cool tip on how to access these different shortcuts and keeping yourself balanced. But at the very least, what I tell people all the time, it's just like my standard, like go hug a tree. So hugging a tree, getting outside, being connected with nature, eating well and balanced foods, and reciting these mantras. You can use different oils, patchouli, like those earthy kind of oils, and then of course you can Google up some others. Oh, I have a list here too of the oils: vetiver, ylang ylang, patchouli, and cinnamon were in my list from something I printed off of Pinterest. So I imagine there's probably at least 10 others that aren't on this list. So you just got to go with what feels right to you. So that's for the root. So there's the sound, which you can do as a chant. You listen to the crystal bowls. I have this Insight Timer is the app I use for meditations, and mine is just Om on repeat, and it's like these monks, like male, that deep voice, like chanting like Om again and again and again. I just zonk out. And crystals, of course, because I'm also a big crystal fan. So any stones that are dark, heavy, shiny, well, I guess they don't have to be shiny, but the ones in front of me kind of are. The only one that's not really shiny, but it's sort of shiny, is the black tourmaline. That's a good grounding stone. Hematite is another good grounding stone. This is jet. You could also use so okay, the bottom 3 chakras are like earth-bound or like earth-based. So they could all blend together. So what works for a root could also work for spleen. Or this is the spleen. I always call it sacral. Sacral is also known as spleen. Carnelian, red jasper, and pyrite. Those are all like my grounding favorites. Actually, my favorites like hematite and pyrite. But and then smoky quartz is a nice gently grounding kind of a stone. It's not such a sinking heavy as an anchor like hematite is, but it's calming and grounding. So yeah. Hey Janine, I see you're watching. So eating foods, chanting, oils, whatever, all those types of approaches. But running, being movement outside, exercise, those are really good because that puts you in your body. And I was talking about it in, I think, the podcast I did with Sarah. But like, having your hand on your head, that could kind of help ground you too. And then, whether your other hand's on your heart or your stomach, but just like, just be in your body, and drop some roots out, visualize some roots, and connect to the earth in that way. They also have grounding mats, earthing. If you've heard of earthing, earthing.com, you can get these mats or these blankets that connect to the earth energy via our outlet, the grounding part of the outlet. So you could bring that kind of grounding make it more accessible for indoors. So I think that's about it for the root. Oh no, it's not. The part of the body it rules is the lower half of the body, like the legs, the hips, the sexual organs. Same with the sacral. The sacral covers the organs, the reproductive organs too. So that's that for that. If you guys have anything you want to say or whatever, don't hesitate to chime in. I guess it will distract me and derail me, but that's fine. So with the sacral chakra, that has to do with our joy, our fun, creativity, relationships. Think about it as where we create, because it's between the pubic bone and the belly button. It's our, reproductive area. It's where we create life. So, and it's where we create, and that connects also to the throat chakra. Somehow there's like a connection between, because that's the expression of our creativity. So it's, our sexuality and our creativity. See, I'm just getting myself messed up by looking at my notes, because of course I know what I'm talking about, but I look at my notes and it throws me off. The bladder, the kidneys, and the low back are also ruled by the sacral chakra. And I have a story that's kind of personal, but when we moved, before we moved, we didn't move yet, but my husband had just started his new job. Oh, it's so personal. But he basically had like pain in his testicle, but it made no sense, and he was just like, he wasn't kicked, nothing happened, but I felt like it had to do with everything with being uprooted and not stable and not knowing about his job in the future. So I'm sorry, but he won't watch this. But don't tell. So that was really, like, wow, holy moly, like that was a really strong indication of that threat to security and safety, because he had just taken a job that was 100 miles away, and he's like, what have I done to my family? I'm going to move everybody, there's another cool story about my son when he broke his tooth. It was the day that our house was, like our bid or whatever offer on a house was approved, and he broke his front tooth that same day. And I just thought that's so symbolic of the stability, what it's a permanent tooth. What you thought was permanent is no longer, and he broke it here, and it was pretty traumatic. Although it was a miraculous kind of a healing, because they said it was broken up in the root, and the x-ray revealed that, but then the next day the x-ray didn't, because he was blasted with healing light, and it was like, nope, that can't be. So that was a cool story. I'm glad, Nancy. I don't know about my husband. I got more stories for him for the crown chakra, and I got a story about my dad for the heart. It's like all these personal experiences that I've had. I keep a notebook of all the clients that I worked on, and they're not labeled, they're just notes, so I don't necessarily know who's or what, but that's always been something I was thinking of doing for the chakra, like a chakra Facebook Live. Like, let me just go into the notebook and read off different clients' stories of their chakras, because it's so indicative how they present. But I know that not everyone can, see chakras like I do, but you can know by other things going on what's off kilter or what's centered. With drug and alcohol addiction, that's like a malady in the sacral chakra. The root chakra is the beginnings of life, and the sacral chakra is like just behind that. And you'll read different things from different sources, of course, always. And like I said, there's no absolutes with this, but with the root chakra, it's like I've read so many things. Some say 0 to 7 years old, but I don't think that's true. I think it's like the one book I was just looking at, which this book is really good, and Lee recommended it to me. Lee's our teacher. This book's awesome. It's super thorough. Way more than you need if you're just sort of interested in it. But that book says 0 to 6 months is the root chakra. And then like 6 months to 24 months is the sacral chakra. So like all these problems that happen, like people who have like issues with those parts of their body, like you kind of go back and be like, what happened at that time in their life, that this was imprinted on them. So it's interesting, it's kind of like the beginning. And then I also read something where it says, like after age 12 or 14, I forget where, up the line, like this is a chakra chart I have, but like you just picture like this is like, the beginnings of life all the way through like basic childhood, and then it starts over again. And now that my kids are, teenagers, I realize that they really are kind of like toddlers. Me and my brother were talking and laughing about that the other day. So that like they act like toddlers, and you're like, oh my God, you're like 13, 15 years old. Like, come on now. So it's just interesting to kind of see it like that. So you might be oversensitive or hard on yourself, or you have an unbalanced sex drive with the sacral chakra. If it's out of balance, I always tell clients, a lot of times tell clients, if they're when I'm tuning into their sacral chakra, if something is off, like I'll get a message of what creative outlet they're, you know, subconsciously they're being drawn to, or whatever that they should spend time with. It's not just like me just giving blanket advice, but a lot of times it's go find something fun to do, go do something joyful. And it could be, you know, go do a painting night with your girlfriends, or go do you know, get into photography like you've always wanted to, or pick up the guitar again, or whatever. But anything that brings us joy and that creative kind of excitement, that's the sacral chakra. And when you have a healthy relationship, it's reflected in that too. I had a client who was sexually abused when she was little, and her sacral chakra was always like this big. It was always super tiny. So, you know, things can show up there. So I'm thinking I've got that kind of covered. Oh, and the tone for the sacral is VAM, VAM, and the root was LAM, LAM. So you would just say VAM, like again and again, you know, just on repeat. So, and then you could always look up like meditations to help support the chakras, or, you know, even just hyper focus on one chakra in particular. But if there's problems in like the bladder or the intestines or things like that, that's the area that's ruled by. The endocrine system lines up with the chakras also. So with the root chakra, it's the adrenals. Although literally the adrenals are higher up in the body, a lot of times you'll see that the root and adrenals go together, because that's that fight or flight. That's like the, you know, like survival. So, yeah, I don't know. And then, the sacral chakra endocrine would be the reproductive glands, like, you know, whatever. I'm like, I can't remember. I'm like, whatever, you know, the feminine ones and the masculine ones. So, you know, just the sexual organs, and that's that. I don't know. I'm sorry I'm being weird. It's weird to just teach to like my face. But the oils you can use would be on this, according to this list again, is lemongrass, orange, and neroli. But I would think cinnamon would be good there too. And the foods, you know, eat the colors of the rainbow, the root chakra, like beets and those root vegetables. And I always think about citrus, you know, for the sacral and the solar plexus, because they're orange and yellow. But just eating that way, using those types of oils and crystals. I don't have any orange stones within reach. I'm not going to get up and move around. I was just grabbing like what felt like the root and the sacral to me, but there's also orange calcite and citrine maybe. Citrine's more solar plexus, but that's like a yellow stone. So I guess that's it for the moment. I hope that's enlightening. I know that you guys who are watching already know about the chakras, so you're just watching to be entertained by me as I stumble and look awkward. Thanks for your support. So I'm going to pull a card. I had some crystals that I posted today on the Facebook page just because it was like, I'm just trying to find different ways to interact with everybody and you know, have some kind of fun and light and spiritually empowering information out there, instead of just like reading about the hospitals and the masks and all of that stuff. Also, last night I did the healing circle, and some of you guys were either in the circle or participated giving the energy, and it was really amazing. I mean, the instant I connected, I was emotional. I felt so much energy between me and the other Reiki people and all the people on the receiving end. And it was really amazing. You're welcome, Donna. Thank you. But the power of the collective sending energy all at once, it's like, I mean, it's something I know, but it still amazes me. Yeah, when I was younger, I fell off my parents' bed and broke my arm. My dad was a cop, and he knows what a broken arm looks like. He says, your arm was broken. And I'm raised in a very faith-filled, Catholic home. And so my dad had like a relic of this one guy, Father Solanus, and he put it on my elbow and he prayed. And my sister remembers this. I didn't remember this detail, but she said the whole family prayed on me, put their hands on my elbow. And they took me to the hospital, and they said it wasn't broken, but it showed a previous fracture. Like, it was healed, and it reflected as being healed in the x-ray. So, and I'm even wearing a Franciscan shirt right now. I found this in my mom's bin of memory of like old clothes that was going to be donated, and that my parents have a Franciscan connection, as do I. So, so yeah, whatever. Just a little side story there, because I think that's cool. You know, I was raised in that. I was also raised to fear, 3 a.m. is the time of the devil and crazy crap like that. So there's good and there's bad, but lots of faith in my house. So inspiration. Hopefully this is inspiring to you. Let's see. Yes, your idea is divinely inspired. Take action accordingly and set it into motion. So whatever that's mulling around in your head, you're being told that act on it. So you receive this card as an invitation to explore something new and to be inspired. This may involve traveling to a beautiful location or exploring an iconic museum's collection. Virtually, not in person. Allow your passions to be your tour guide and think of the exploration as an investment that will yield future benefits. Traveling for your art is a way to open up to new perspectives, gain new cultural experiences, and discover new mediums for creative inspiration. How perfect is that? I'm talking about the sacral chakra, and I'm saying being creatively inspired. So, hey Linda, you're a little late. I'm about to sign off. But, so I guess if you guys don't have anything for me, I will make my exit. And I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the solar plexus. And don't worry about, I know that sometimes it's been spotty. My friend was doing a Facebook Live earlier today and it was really jumpy, but the recording should be consistent, not as bad as the live. But yeah, just email me or message me or comment or whatever, like if you have any questions or anything. And if I have anything else come up that I totally forgot to include, I'll add it tomorrow and the next day. Yeah, I think I'll do the solar plexus and the chakra tomorrow. So I should have sucked on a lozenge. So, all right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you later. Bye.